Hey, this is Tyler with TJX Survival. Today on Asking Dumb Questions of Matt around the campfire, we are going to cover some questions that I got from Facebook. So
I'm excited.
All right, so stay tuned. Alright, I manage a Facebook group called the Bushcraft and Survival Tribe, and I put a question up there. Basically, if you could ask Matt any question, what would it be? I got a lot of funny answers, or a lot of funny questions. So, I'm going to ask a few of these, and just, some of them are good, some are a little strange. We're just going to see where it goes. So, first question, how did he acquire his first atlatl, and where was it made from?
Well, I didn't acquire my first atlatl. Actually, I moved to Boulder, and I was teaching at the survival school, and I learned a lot about primitive skills initially through the instructors, and I saw the atlatl in use there, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I read up about it. I started looking at old archaeological reports to see different designs from the way Inuits to the basket makers to the way people in Mexico, South America designed atlatls, and Aztecs. And I just started making a bunch. Actually, I made like probably 40 atlatls based on all these different designs.
That's awesome.
Started testing them, and the one that I liked was actually pretty similar to the one that was used in this particular area. Had two fingers.
This is the basket weaver one?
Basket maker, yeah.
Hey Jason, can you hand me the atlatl over there? There you go. I got one right here. Only we've added a stone to it, so it's not exact.
Cool. Yeah, so this is kind of a basket maker style, where you have a semi-flexible arm and you got a flat spur stone. And the finger loops, usually I design them so they're actually quite rigid, and I used to do that by putting sinew or rawhide in there, and then doing a layer over that of buckskin. So you get this sort of ring finger fit, which gives you a little bit more control. But this is pretty nice for something that's simple.
So this is my first atlatl. Not that it matters. And I can actually hit big things with it, not small things. All right.
The atlatl is cool. Most amazing tool. I've been so fortunate to feed myself a lot with that.
Nice. All right, the next random question we're going to ask is, there are so many questions. What skills would he love to master? If he could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? What's his favorite bush meal?
If I could live anywhere in the world, what skills to master in bush meal?
Dutch oven? Dutch oven's a good bush meal.
Dutch oven's an amazing bush meal, especially out here.
Num num.
You know, I love the country I live in here in southern Utah. I love the canyons, and I've been out here for 20 years intermixed with my travels, and it's the place, despite traveling all over the world, I feel really comfortable here. I can't say it's perfect. You know, there's probably more legal restrictions here than other places I've been that prevent us.
Hunting and stuff?
Yeah, prevent us from living this lifestyle. So that's a bit difficult. I love going to Hawaii, the islands there. I love Kauai, getting deep in the jungle. It's a beautiful place, and it has a nice contrast between here and there. And There's a few places I've really enjoyed my travel. I'm really partial to big, beautiful mountains like in the Himalayas. Like, I just love running around there. But aside from that, aside from just beautiful mountains here in the desert, occasional trip to the ocean to get my surfing fix because I grew up on the ocean.
You dude.
Yeah, can't get rid of that.
Nice.
So yeah, those are the places. I didn't answer all that. It was 3 questions.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4. What's your favorite bush meal?
Favorite bush meal?
What do you like to eat when you're out starving? Everything.
I think the thing that I really love the most, that gives me the most energy, is acorn cakes.
Uh-huh.
And
how do you make it? Just lots of acorn grinded up?
Yeah,
put a little water on it, cook it on a rock?
Yeah, I basically take the acorns, shell them with my teeth, and grind them partially, and then I put them in a big piece of silk.
Mm-hmm.
The silk is fine, so it's nice. And then I bring it down the creek and I palpate it and strain it. It takes about 15 minutes to get all the tannins out if you're actually manually working it.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there...
Can you eat it with the tannins? Or just wouldn't taste as good, would it?
No, the tannins will bind you up, which is not very good in a wilderness situation.
And you gotta get Giardia to get rid of that, right?
Yeah.
Very nice.
One cure. So at that point, then you can dry it out and grind it to a fine flour, and then I add just a little bit of clay, and that clay helps it stick together, and then bake it on the rocks.
Oh, nice.
So that's a good meal.
We're gonna have to do this.
We will.
This summer.
Definitely.
Okay, Ross. Ross Clay says, he's a question. I think he means here's a question. What would he recommend for our young people in educating them to the wilderness?
Yeah, I mean, being out in the wilds is really, I think it's just critical to human development, especially, in this day and age when we're finding ways
glued to our phones.
Yeah, we're finding ways to separate ourselves from that experience, and it's a natural human tendency to want to be comfortable, and that's why we're sitting here by the fire.
Oh yeah.
But we keep expanding that comfort to the point where we do lose some of that connection. And if you can get kids out there and teach them skills like even building traps, really gets the mind working in a different way than just sitting there looking at your phone, and being outside, being active, and in nature you really have to open up your field of awareness, which I think is a really cool skill. It's just, nature's great for both kids and adults.
Nice. Can you turn this just a little bit? I don't think it's quite squared up. Just a little bit this direction. A little more. It's kind of bolted down a little bit. You just gotta push hard. That'll work. That's good. Okay. Does he ever get bored?
Absolutely not. No, never. It's always the opposite.
Nice.
There's my days are. I just wish they were longer, and I'm creative naturally, and I feel like I channel that energy into the wilds. Even when I spend time alone without any modern conveniences, I'm still trying to figure out how to make cool things around camp.
Nice.
So in the wilds, I'm definitely not bored, and even in the front country, I mean, people are not boring, so no.
Nice.
I'm not bored.
There you have it. So, what alternative sharpening tool to use if you could not find a fine enough stone? So if you can't find fine stones, how are you sharpening knives? I think that's what he's trying to ask.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. There's a few different things that could work. There's plants that contain silica, so you can get a hold of some horsetail.
Mm-hmm.
That's one option, but you definitely have to be careful with something like that, because you're using more of a strop method. You want to gather a big bundle of it.
You want to like overdo it and roll the edge.
Exactly. Sometimes just wood itself contains enough silica that you can keep it sharp by basically stropping it on a solid piece of wood, especially if it's especially if you have a little bit of like a burnt edge, like a lightning kill. You take that off, and then you can use some of that.
That's honestly something I've never heard of before.
Yeah, and you can maintain an edge that way.
Not going to really correct it. You're just going to keep it sharp.
Yeah, at that point, if you know you're going in an area where there's no quartzite, no smooth stones, nothing that'll sharpen your knife, and you're going to use your knife a lot, you probably want to bring
Bring a
sharpening stone. I mean,
Yeah.
you brought your knife. If you're entering that type of zone,
Bring a little stone.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, Mikhail. What's up, homie? He says he's a long distance runner. How has that level of fitness worked with his skills and time in the wilderness?
Yeah. For me, running's really just been a way for me to see a lot of country and really
Keep
get out
cruising.
there. And running's, in a lot of ways, introduced me first to primitive skills, because I started just really enjoying getting deep in the backcountry, and then I found that I wanted to stay out longer, so I'd just be out there with a little waist pack, and I'd be like, all right, how do I build a shelter, find some food, and that sort of spurred on. And then I became fascinated by all the stories of Native Americans running these
Crazy distances and stuff.
crazy distances. And
In sandals, of all things.
yeah, and I actually, for a long time, I made commitments to myself to not get into cars, and now I do own a truck, but I really appreciate that time in my life where I just completely committed to my feet being my mode of getting around.
Excellent. And I'm sure that you were incredibly fit because of this.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you cannot be.
Nice.
And it's allowed me to do things like run down game as well.
So this one's thick. Let me see if I can read this whole one. What is the end goal to it all? He has mastered several environments while relying on primitive skills. What is the ultimate goal? What challenges would he like to attempt in the future? What is one non-cliche piece of advice would he give to anyone looking to get into survival skills and or living a more simple life? How would he do on the show alone? If he could team up with any survivalist past or present for dual survival, who would it be and why?
Okay, this is another
18 questions. I'll give you notes.
mini question. So yeah, I guess the end goal, is that the first one? What's the
What is the end goal to it all?
Yeah, I don't feel like there's really an end goal. I think that's the fascinating thing about primitive
It's
skills.
more about the journey than the destination.
It's completely about the journey, and for me, like I've stepped out somewhat of the way I used to live in order to share it, and to for better or worse, to be more of a public figure on TV.
To bring the things that you've gained to other people. That's a reward in and of itself.
Absolutely, and also a different phase of my life, but going back to where I was going and the type of lifestyle I used to live, like being able just to wrap a piece of cloth around my waist and walk into the canyons for a month or more at a time, like to me that was a really special experience. Like to be that present and that in the moment with every moment of the day was
That's awesome.
truly amazing.
I am envious. Okay, what non-cliche piece of advice would he give to anyone looking to get into survival skills or living a more simple life?
Yeah, I think it's really easy for us to get wrapped up into just thinking of, if you're into survival, it's easy to get wrapped up in the gadgets and the cool things that you could have. You really gotta, if you're really truly interested, you gotta really strip all that down and start from your roots. Be safe about it, but I think it's really important to do things like a vision quest. If 4 days is too much, try 36 hours. Build a circle of stones. Bring to be safe. Maybe you want to bring a water bottle. Sit there for one full night, one full day. Bring a blanket and one night, and just be still with yourself. And that'll help bring some answers, some clarity. And then from there, like immediately when you get done with that, go on a little walkabout for a day or two and just try to find your food, because you've already slowed down your metabolism. Your body's ready for it. That's a good way to start it. You want to just build up from there. Start simple. Don't start complicated and try to be simple from there. Just go for it.
I like that. How would he do on the show alone? He'd rock it. That's how he would do. Okay.
So yeah, it's fun. I've thought about that.
Yeah.
That show. A friend of mine was EPing it a couple years ago.
Can we mention him? The most recent one? Not yet. Okay.
Oh yes, and then I've had a few friends that have been on the show as well. And I love the premise of that show because it's very.
Some of our buddies are coming up on this show. Make sure you're watching.
Yes, definitely.
You know who you are.
Well, that show's great because it really does. It strips away. In some ways, it does strip away the camera crew. Sorry guys. I know it's kind of puts you out of a job, but you've got people that are, for the most part, filming themselves, and they're out there with that experience, and it's a competition, but at the same time, it's a cool solo experience for people, and
it's a life-changing experience for a lot of those people, even if they don't win or not. Every single one I talk to, they would do it again, and they're happy with the experience. They don't care what the outcome was.
Absolutely.
Last one, and he asked a lot of questions of this. If you could team up with any survivalist, past or present, for dual survival, who would it be and why? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to.
If I was to go back to that show, I love my buddy Dave Nisha. He's just solid character all around.
That would be an excellent choice.
He's got great skills, and
Dave needs to go to the desert with me,
Dave. We'd have
Dave.
a hell of a time, and he's you'll know who that person is.
You will see this guy soon. Nice. I like that. That's a good answer. And I would watch that show. If you're a producer, make it happen. I'm going to ask this really quick because it's kind of funny. What became of those other dudes who used to bag and tag you? Okay, first off, talking about a Dude You're Screwed is the TV show we're talking about.
Dude, you're screwed. Wait, can we back up on that other answer? Because
Go ahead.
I gotta plug in my girlfriend too.
Go for it. Go ahead. Let's hear this.
So yeah, if I were to go back to dual survival and have a partner, I definitely think my buddy Dave Nisha would be amazing because he's got solid skills. He's a great human being. We'd have a hell of a lot of fun. That would make a good combo.
He's a good man. Good people.
Or my girlfriend, definitely. I mean, that's awesome, to be able to.
It's good to have a partner when you're doing stuff like that too.
Yeah, to be able to have that. Yeah, partner in crime.
Have that experience. Partner in crime.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, next question. What became of those other dudes who used to bag and tag you?
The other dude.
So that is from
Dude, You're
Dude,
Screwed.
You're Screwed. That TV show. What became of those guys? Where are they at?
I don't know because I haven't heard from them in a while, so somebody else might have bagged and tagged them.
That's probably true.
Actually, no, that's not totally true. We do keep in touch once in a while. John Hudson, he's back in the UK, and we talk.
I liked him. He knew his stuff.
Email once in a while.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy, and Jake too reaches out once in a while.
Yeah.
Check in, as well as Terry. I mean, pretty much all of them. I mean,
Terry's good people. Hello, Terry.
Yes.
I'll meet you in the desert again soon.
But that was a really good team to work with, and it was unfortunate the show only had a couple seasons because we definitely had fun together.
Okay, where does he draw his inspiration for learning and practicing primitive living skills? A certain Native American tribes, Stone Age man? Question mark.
Yeah, the inspiration really is that's been part of that lifelong journey too. It's a matter of like when I go through reservations, trying to search out the traditional people, that traditional knowledge, doing a lot of reading.
Get it before it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. I've done a lot of reading, personal anthropological studies, and I've done a lot of replica building of different tools and stuff to figure out, what the building of it, but also how is this tool used and made. And from atlatls to everything. And it's real fascinating for me because it taps into the roots of humans and where we came from.
Exactly. And I want to plug this again. We talked about this on another video a little while ago. Dave Holladay always points out it's everyone's history. It's everyone's ancient culture. Primitive skills are something that white people, black people, purple people eaters, okay,
Blue,
they all have that same ancient history. They all have that same culture.
Absolutely.
A lot of us have just forgotten it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is in his personal pack kit and why?
Yeah, so like the kits I've taken, my favorite kit, I love going on walkabouts like in the canyons, like in the months between April and I would say October.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me that's really ideal. The winter months to me are about hunkering down. So you build your pit house, store your food. But when I'm on walkabout during those months, my favorite kit is just bringing a 5x5 foot piece of cloth.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Just some VersaCloth?
Yeah, they call it VersaCloth now. Then I'll have like a little bag of chia seeds pinole, like a pound or two. I carry a piece of rock salt. I either carry a steel knife or sometimes I carry a stone knife. I always carry a little tiny hand drill kit that'll actually fit into the cloth very compactly. And I bring my atlatl.
Nice.
Like that's the basic, and I've been able to go out in the canyons for over a month with that setup.
Just that kit.
And
do you get anything to drink out of, or are you just drinking?
I drink straight out of the creek. So so anytime you do that, that's definitely a risk. But I've been doing it for a while, and I'm willing to take that risk. That's the difference.
I think it's when it comes to water purification, it's all about probabilities. Mm-hmm. Depending on the situation, what is the probability? If the probability is low, then you're given a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And
die from dehydration or risk.
Right.
Yep.
And you have to realize, like I've drank from the water because I'm trying to connect deeply with the land, and having a filter or iodine is removing part of that connection. Mm-hmm. But even from a survival standpoint,
it detracts from the experience.
It does.
Yep.
And even in a survival experience, you do have to figure out where that line is drawn. If you're stuck out a situation for a few days and you haven't had water and you're afraid to drink it because you're afraid you get sick, mm-hmm. like you might die of dehydration.
Yeah,
so
you're probably going to die of dehydration way sooner.
There's a fine line. Like at some point, even in a survival situation, you got to put your head down and drink.
So here's one. Ask him if the story about him walking into the wilderness with just a knife and coming back 6 months later is true. Part of it is.
Yeah, just the knife. It definitely was not just a knife. I mean that. I've
sharpening too. I mean, seriously.
I've gone out. The longest I've gone out with almost nothing is about 42 days. Mm-hmm. The 6-month solo experience for me, that was. Like I basically packed a gigantic canvas bag. I mean, it was probably 100 pounds. I put in some rice, some olive oil, some nut seeds, different tools. I even had some buckskins, some food that I collected as well. And for me, that experience was really about. I actually left in the winter solstice, so I had to bring a certain amount of supplies.
Heat, yeah.
It wasn't a matter of going out in spring, so I brought those supplies and I built a base camp, and I stayed there for a couple months until it started to warm up and I could move around. But for me, that experience was just about being out as long as I could, not coming back into town and having distractions from town. So I actually did stay out that entire time.
Very nice. Jason Hammond wants to know, would he be willing to take on an apprentice for a week?
Yeah, I mean, there will come a time. It's been, with TV, it's kind of taken away a lot of my time, but I am planning on getting back to more personalized teaching.
More teaching and stuff. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's see, how does he handle being alone for so long a time, and how does he readjust after being around a lot of people?
Yeah, so I guess the thing I would refer to that is that 6 months that I spent alone, and for me, there definitely was a aching feeling of loneliness, but it was replaced by just the daily activities.
Busy.
Being fully connected and creative with the land and really paying attention to the land. I think as human beings, we need people, but I think people are so afraid of being alone to the point where they won't even spend that personal time or take that time to reflect and gain some insight of who they really are. And when you do that, you can come back, and I think you're a lot stronger with your friends and relationships.
I agree. I'm going to swing in on this just a little bit. Being a military soldier and doing deployments and spending time where you're not with your family, there's always an end to it. There's an end to it. I think that, and I know this is more directed to you, but I think that's important, is to realize that you can do anything for 2 weeks. You can do anything for 6 months. You can do anything for 2 years. Because you know that there's going to be an end to it. Mm-hmm. And you just keep driving through, keep yourself busy.
Yep.
Okay, as someone that is famous in our circle and only reasonably new to social media, how does he balance being on TV, the internet, a writer, with his simple living philosophy on life? Does he see it as a collision of lifestyles? And has he found it harder to adjust to being sought after?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely a choice I made to make some changes in my life, which involved more of this activity, and absolutely it encroaches in the primitive hunter-gatherer way that I used to live. It's very hard just to go do that unless I just like shut it down and just walk away, which is certainly possible as well, and I'm may very well at some point. You never know.
So if you do, I can ask the next question. What are his go-to plants for crapping in the woods?
Go-to plants. My favorite around here is just a big bundle of sagebrush when you're in the desert. Up high on the mountain, mullein is awesome.
Mullein.
And also just like sometimes, I know it sounds gross if you never pooped in the woods, but sometimes just taking like some smooth rocks with
works great
with a little bit of sand.
This is horrible. Okay, I gotta tell you my smooth rock story.
Yeah.
I was in the Mojave Desert with the military, and I thought I had some toilet paper, and I didn't. Nothing grows in the Mojave Desert.
Yeah.
My only options were smooth rocks, and I thought, oh no. The best thing about a smooth rock is you can throw it when you're done. All right, driving on.
Throw it far.
Okay, let's see.
That's a crappy joke, Tyler.
It's a crappy joke.
Yeah, the other thing that's important when you crap is pull those cheeks open wide.
You don't want to like skid mark anything, catch anything on there. I'm curious if you can get him to talk about what he's gained over the years practicing survival primitive skills. What perspective? What things are most important? What does he doubt there's a God or everyday proof that there is? Also, what are some of his most personal, most precious moments?
Yeah, when you practice primitive skills, I mean, you definitely feel connected to something much greater than yourself. So it's hard to deny that there's not a life force stronger than yourself. But I think for me, like I'm okay acknowledging that it's mysterious, and I'm willing to just keep being open. I'm definitely spiritual, but I feel like if I pinpoint it with a religion, I'll somewhat close the opportunities that I've learned from the natural world. And because I mean I've had so much magic happen out there that it's just fascinating sometimes. And I think that's part of why I don't feel alone necessarily when I'm out there, is because I feel like some greater force is really looking after me.
Outstanding. I like that answer. I'm going to ask this question, then I'm going to change it a little bit. Sorry, Paul. If this question hasn't been asked yet, does he drink his own piss? And I'm going to say, is there ever a situation where you should?
It's funny. I have a friend that he swears by drinking his piss, and
someone I know?
And no.
Okay, good.
He was a student actually on a few courses that I ran, and we had this thing. He actually thought he could hydrate himself from drinking his piss, and this is someone that does it quite a bit.
Oh wow!
I'm not gonna say his name, but we walked for
probably a good thing for him.
For about a full day without very much water, and towards the end of the day, he drank his piss and puked so hard. And I didn't drink piss, and I fell asleep somewhat dehydrated, but I woke up fine the next morning. So,
but you didn't drink piss.
I didn't. No, and I'm not a piss drinker. I don't like the way the breath smells when people drink piss, and no.
So Holladay. I'm gonna bring him up again, Dave Holladay. His argument is, by the time that it's time for you to drink the piss, it's too late. So why bother?
Yeah.
That way you don't have to drink your piss.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be pretty concentrated by then.
No, thank you. Okay. If you were stranded on the Olympic Peninsula alone with 3 items, what would he want to have with him? This is an alone question, evidently.
Three items. An Olympic, probably.
Temperate rainforest.
Yeah, probably a pretty good tarp and a machete and my girlfriend.
Gotta have the girlfriend. Okay. 5 or 10 most important primitive skills if you want to survive long term.
5 or 10 most.
Yeah, 5 or 10 most important primitive. Hey,
Yeah.
one between 5 and 10, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you certainly have to master fire. I think that's kind of your first, and then
Jason, fire. Sorry.
and then definitely getting a good perspective on the plants that are in the area. I would say long-term survival kind of at the top of the list. Mastering some way to procure protein very efficiently, becoming efficient with some type of primitive hunting tool. For me, that's the atlatl. It used to be the bow.
Mm-hmm. Why the atlatl over the bow?
Well, I hunted a lot with the bow for 10 years, and it's really a great tool, but I find in true wilderness situations, I find it a little bit more finicky. I find that you're maintaining arrows more than you are darts.
Mm-hmm.
The atlatl darts are
It's
much...
like a big tank.
Yeah, they're just, they last forever. They're more
Spaceships.
durable, they're hard to lose. And my accuracy with both is pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not that much more accurate. I mean, certainly now I'm a lot more accurate.
I'm accurate with the bow, and I can hit a house with an atlatl if I'm lucky.
Yeah, and it's just, for me, it's a more versatile.
Okay, 2 last questions. Many people live in semi-rural to city lifestyles. What priorities would he set for folk that might find themselves escaping, not only trying to survive, but in an environment so foreign to many people? I understand the basics don't change, but let's face it, too many people don't know the difference between a pine and a cedar. So I guess what he's asking is, what priorities would he set for folks trying to escape
From a city situation.
from a city situation?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, that's not my area of expertise. There's probably better.
You don't escape cities?
Well, maybe I am an expert at that. Actually.
Yeah, there you go.
I've been running from cities my whole life. But I would say that, from a practical standpoint, for one, choose your location, your city. If you live right in the middle, it's going to be tougher to get out than being on the edges. So if that is a concern, maybe you want to rent a place that's on the outskirts. And it'll also give you that experience of being able to walk out and have nature there, but being able to walk to work and still have your city, there as well. And just figuring out a kit, that works for you. That's kind of a loaded question, but having a kit that's ready to go and that you like.
Let me see if I can hit this one.
Yeah.
Only because
Absolutely.
I live in a cul-de-sac with some kids.
Yeah.
I bring some of the country to me. What I mean by that is I collect primitive material so that I can make bow drills and hand drills and teach what limited skill set I have to friends. I do wild edibles while I jog along a Provo River trail. That's not bushcraft in backcountry, but that's a skill set that I enjoy using. And then I spend what time I can getting up into the mountains to try experiment as I can. So I guess bring what you can to your living environment and then do what you can to enable yourself to get out and film, not in your backyard, but up in the mountains with Matt.
Yes.
And do what you can there.
Yeah. And this does, it does seem like a little bit of a prepper question. And I would definitely say it's important to think about those things, but don't be afraid of those things to the point where you're not really enjoying your daily current
Absolutely.
life.
Okay, I'll make this the last question because we've gone for quite a while on this. What is his happy place when he's in a bad spot? How does he stay so chill when it matters most? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you freaking out like the rest of us?
Oh, I freak out sometimes. I guess maybe more on the inside. Maybe I tend to put up a little bit of a wall.
Call it the dude wall, dude.
The dude wall. How do I go to... I don't know. I feel like the more time you spend out in nature, it kind of just chills you out.
I was thinking that myself. She asked that question, and I think it was a she. Sorry, I didn't look. That person asked that question. I thought, well, it's because he's not spending all the time freaking out about work and all that type of stuff. I'm sure that you have your stresses. I'm not meaning to downplay that, but
yeah, more so now.
when you're spending that kind of time accomplishing tasks in the backcountry, it gives you the ability to reset for the stress in the future. I mean, that's why I do this stuff. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, that's been a long discussion. Hopefully you've gained something from it. If you have any questions, leave your comments down in the discussion box below. I'll get to them as I can. And thank you for watching TJack Survival. Go over to Matt Graham, hit the subscribe button, because he's got more stuff coming your way.